Hello my dear friends, let us continue learning. Now in the last session, you have understood how a C program would get executed, and most of the students will be in that doubt factor, wherein sir, in the introduction video you told that you will be teaching Java, but nowhere you have started Java. Execution of C program you have told. We are unable to connect the dots, sir. Well, connecting the dots is my job. Your job is just focus and learn whatever I am teaching in that particular session. Rest everything leave it to me. In the introduction video itself, I have promised you that you will be a wonderful programmer. Then wait until I will make you a wonderful programmer. Anyway, now it's time to learn about what is platform dependency and what is platform independency. Please take the heading as platform dependency and platform independency. Carefully watch this now. This word platform you have heard probably in the first lecture or in the second lecture. There I did not tell you what is platform all about. I told you one fine day will come, you will understand what is platform. Today is the day. If you will ask me, sir, what is platform all about? Platform is actually combination of two things. To be very simple, to be very precise, platform is a combination of two things. If you will ask me, sir, what two things? A hardware component called as the processor and a software component called as the operating system, OS. So platform is the combination of a processor and the OS. For example, if say supposing you are working in your PC you are working on Intel i3 processor and you have installed Unix OS, and if someone asks you on what platform you are working, you can literally tell I am working on i3 Unix or Unix and i3. If at all you are working in your desktop, you have installed probably i7 processor along with Windows OS, you can literally tell that I am working on Windows i7 platform. So platform is a combination of the hardware processor and the software OS. Okay sir, we have understood what is platform. It is a combination of two things, very simple, processor and OS. Next what, sir? Just because we are software engineers, of course there might be a student who is listening to this lecture who is from the electronics electrical background, but even then you are aspiring to come into IT industry. So you are a software engineer. Just because we are software engineer, not much importance we will give to the hardware part of the platform. More important, actually we will give it to the software component of the platform, which is OS. So for all practical purposes from now on, you can just tell OS and platform both are same. But even then, very precisely I have told you what is platform. It is a combination of two things, the hardware processor and the software OS. But just because we are software engineers, for our practical approaches, we can tell OS means platform, platform means OS. Because we are software engineers, we are in the software side. Okay sir, we have understood what is platform. Next what? You have something called as platform dependent programming languages, platform independent programming languages. Now what do you mean by platform dependent programming language? What do you mean by platform independent programming language is what you have to learn. Probably C language is a platform dependent programming language. Well, C++ is also a platform dependent programming language, but Java is platform independent programming language. This probably in the previous sessions you have understood. Why C is called as platform dependent programming language? That part we will learn now. Carefully watch it. Again, a series of cases I need to explain it to you for you to understand what is platform dependency and independency. Don't lose the focus. Don't write anything until I give you time to write. Everything will be on the board. Nothing I would erase until you copy. So don't copy anything. Keep your pens aside. Carefully watch it. Well, say supposing you have a machine, a computer. Any computer will have a platform. Now what is platform? OS and the processor. Possibly OS, I will take the OS as Windows OS and the processor as i3 processor. Now this machine has a platform. What platform? Windows i3 platform. That is what this machine has. Am I not correct? Say supposing now in this machine, in this computer, in the hard disk you have typed and saved one C program. Just an assumption. This is that C program that you have typed. You have saved it in the hard disk by the name add.c. I am again repeating, you have written it in the C language. C language is a high level language, and any file in which the contents are in the high level language, you technically call it as the source file. All those things is old data to you. This source file directly you cannot give it to the processor for execution. It will not execute. Why? Why? Because the contents are in high level language. You have to convert it to machine level language. How will you convert it to machine level language? By using compiler. To be precise, by using C compiler. Why C compiler? Because you are compiling C language. Now this file, if you give it to C compiler, all this C statements would be taken and would be converted to machine level language and would be kept in one file. That file is actually called as the object file. Again is an old story to you. This is that object file. Carefully watch it. Name would be add only, extension would be .obj. Same contents you will have here, really no difference in the contents, but the only difference is that it will be in the machine level language. This is what I have told you in the previous session also. Give high level language contents to C compiler, it will convert all the high level language statement into machine level language statement and it will give the object file. This is what I have told you. One thing extra I am telling you now. What is that extra thing, sir? Why did you not tell it in the previous lecture only? There it was not needed, hence I did not tell you. Now it is needed. Okay, sir, tell what is extra. Very simple. If you give high level language statements to C compiler will convert all the high level language statement to machine level language statement and keep it in a file. But in that file, not only that machine level language contents you will have, one extra information also you will have. Yes, these statements as it is would be converted, but one extra information you will have in this object file. If you will ask me, sir, what is that extra information? When compilation is happening, under what OS compilation happened? When compilation was happening, what processor was present in the computer? These two information would be added to this object file. Or to be precise, your C compiler, after converting all high level language to machine level language, under what platform? Under what platform compilation happened? That information also it will add to the object file. Why? Probably in future you will understand, but it will add. Okay, sir. After compilation, under what platform the compilation happened, information it will place it here. Next what, sir? Next is simple. This is incomplete file. You cannot give it to the processor for execution. So you have to give it to a software called as linking loader. Same old story. You have to give it to linking loader. This is that linking loader. What linking loader does? It takes the object file. It takes all the header files, it would link, and it will generate one more file called as executable file, and say supposing this is that executable file. This is that executable file. This executable file would be loaded because linking loader would be loaded onto the RAM directly. It will not generate a file separately, it would be loaded directly onto the RAM, and say supposing this is that RAM that I am speaking with respect to, directly loaded onto the RAM. This is the RAM part of this machine. In the RAM, you have that executable image like this. This I will call it as executable image. What will you have in this executable image, if you will ask me? This contents in the object file along with the header files information you will have, and of course this also you will have, that also you will have, that information also you will have. Now this executable image is loaded onto the RAM. From here, if you will give these instructions for the processor to execute it, don't think processor simply will execute off. Just because you are giving the instructions in the executable format by making it complete, just because you are giving the instructions in the machine level language, don't think your processor will execute it off. Immediately it will not execute. Before executing this executable statements present in executable image in the RAM, your processor will perform two checks. You compiled, linked, loaded, you want to execute now, immediately it will not execute. Two checks it will perform if you tell it to execute. If you ask me, sir, what two checks? At the time of compilation, what was the OS? Now I am about to execute. What is the OS present? I repeat, at the time of compilation, what was the OS? Now I am about to execute. What is the OS? Are they both matching? That is the first check it would make. As of now, as of this example, at the compile time, Windows was the OS. Now this fellow is about to execute. Windows only is the OS. Both are matching. One check done. One more check. At the time of compilation, what was the processor? Now I am executing. Who am I? What processor I am? Are they both matching? In this case, at the time of compilation, i3 is the processor. Now at the time of execution, i3 only is the processor. That check also passed. Just because both the checks are passed, your processor will fastly take all these instructions, will execute it, and he will give you the output. In simpler terms, this is how your C program would get executed. This is case number one. Don't come to any conclusion. I have never told what is platform dependency, what is platform, nothing I have told. This is case number one. That is what I am about to tell. Now, let me go to case number 2, which is important. Now say supposing you have one more machine. This is the machine. And in this machine, you have a platform. What platform? Probably you have Windows platform. I am showing it here. And i3 processor. Because two things would make the platform, no? Windows and i3. Now what I will do is I will write one C program and I will save it here like this. The name of this file is same, add.c. Contents will be in high level language, and any file which has the contents in high level language you call it as source file. This source file directly you cannot give it to this processor, he would not execute. So what you will do is you will give it to compiler like this. To be very specific, you will give it to C compiler. C compiler will convert all the high level language statements and he will place it in one file. The name of that file will be add only, but the extension would be obj. It is an object file. Contents here would be same as the contents of the source file, but the only difference is the contents will be in machine level language. Along with this, you will have two more information that we should not forget. That is only important point here. While compiling, under what platform compilation has happened, that information also you will have here, possibly Windows and i3 platform. This, if you will give it to linking loader, it will link, it will load. That executable image, if you give it to the processor, two checks would be made. Under what platform compilation has occurred, under what platform execution is happening. Two checks would be made, both the checks certainly would be passed, you will get the output. But say supposing you have one more machine, and in this machine you have the platform like this, Unix, and the processor is i3 processor. Unix and i3 processor you have. If you see, I have a different platform now, Unix and i3. Somehow these two machines are connected. I don't know how, wired or wireless, it is up to you, think whatever you want. These two machines are connected. This machine has this Windows and i3 platform, this machine has Unix and i3 platform, these two machines are connected. Can two computers be connected? It can be connected. What is there in that? Just because these two machines are connected, what I will do is I will take this object file, whatever I have here, this object file I will take it, get it across this connection, bring it to this computer. That is what I would do. This compiled object file, I will take it and I will bring it here like this. The same compiled object file I have here. Same contents are here, I did not change any contents. In the machine level language only you have, that also I did not change. That two informations only you have, because same file copied, pasted, that is what, that is how you have to analyze. Probably Windows and i3. Same file which I have compiled in this machine, I have taken it across, brought it to this computer. Now I want to execute it. Directly I cannot execute because incomplete file. What I will do is I will give this to linking loader. Why I have to give, you know? I will give this file to linking loader. If you will ask me, sir, what linking loader does? It will take this incomplete file, link that header files, will generate an executable file that would be loaded directly onto the RAM of the computer. I suppose this is the RAM part of this computer. On this, that executable image would be loaded. Like this. I would call it as executable image. Same contents only you will have. Additional to that contents, header file contents you will have. Means this also you will have, Windows and i3. See, this is executable image, means executable, you can give for the processor to execute. But just because these executable, the contents are complete, if you give for the processor to execute, don't think he will simply execute off. Either here or here or here. Just before executing any program, your processor will perform two checks. Two checks it has to perform. What is the two checks? At the time of compilation, what is the OS? Now executing, what is the OS? Now you are about to execute, what is the OS? At the time of compilation, what is the OS? Windows. Now you are about to execute, what is the OS? Unix. Are the OS matching? OS is not at all matching. The check failed. Just because check is failed, this fellow would not execute, and here you will not get the output. And this is the reason why your C program is called platform dependent programming language. What, sir? You have written two cases and you are telling this is the reason why C program is called platform dependent programming language. Why, sir? Why C program is called platform dependent programming language? Your C program is called platform dependent programming language because it expects the platform to be same at the time of compilation and at the time of execution. Like in this case, your C programming language expects the platform to be same at the time of compilation and at the time of execution, and any programming language that is expecting the platform to be same at the time of compilation and at the time of execution is technically termed as platform dependent programming language. See here, your C program got executed. Why? Why? Because at the time of compilation, at the time of execution, platform is same. But here, in this case, you compiled, that compiled code you brought to the new machine, which had different platform. Different platform, you bought it and tried to execute. Did the execution happen? No. At the time of compilation, platform was Windows and i3. Now at the time of execution, platform is Unix and i3. Not possible. This is the reason why your C programming language is called platform dependent programming language or not portable programming language. It is not portable, correct? It is not transportable to the new machine with a different platform. If you transport it to a new machine with a different platform, it will not get executed. Just because your C program is platform dependent programming language, it is not portable, it is not transportable to a new machine with a different platform. I know few students will get doubts, sir, here Windows i3, here also if it is Windows i3, here it is Windows i3 at the time of compilation, here also if it is Windows and i3, at that time, sir, at that time execution would happen. Rule is very simple, at the time of compilation, at the time of execution, platform should be same. Even though it is a different machine, no one cares, but platform should be same. Now I hope I am completely clear about what is platform dependency, non-portability or not portability. And again, what is platform independency and portability is waiting. Let me explain it to you by taking how a Java program would get executed as a reference. But before that, I hope you have taken the heading as platform, platform dependency, platform independency. First copy this part as it is, then case 1, case 2 as it is you copy. By the end of the lecture, I would dictate the notes, don't worry. First copy this as it is. Be quick. We'll continue now. Just now we have learnt about how a C program would get executed and why C programming language is called a platform dependent programming language. Or you have learnt when you should call a programming language as a platform dependent programming language. Now, let us learn what is platform independent programming language. Well, before I tell you what is platform independent programming language, first let me explain you how a Java program would get executed. If you ask me, sir, why? Why? Certainly you will understand. Listen to this carefully. How a Java program would get executed. Say supposing you have a machine. This is the machine. Any machine will have a platform associated with it. Just now we have seen. Say supposing this machine has Windows OS and the processor. If you will ask me, sir, which processor? I would tell the processor is i3. Why, sir, you are not changing the processor? That is what just now I told. I am a software engineer. I am least bothered about the processor. Let me keep the processor constant. For me, platform means Windows only. I mean the OS only. Say supposing in this machine you have written one program in one of the high level language called Java. Many instructions you have written in Java. Java happens to be the high level language program. If you will ask me, sir, what program you have written? Probably I will take the example as addition program only. You have written and saved this file as add.java. Of course, .java only should be the extension. If it is a C file, you will tell .c. If it is a C++ file, .cpp. This is Java file, so .java. And let us not forget that any file in which the contents are in the high level language, we have to call it as the source file. Now, this source file, certainly I cannot give it directly to the processor for execution. Why? Why? Because the contents are in high level language. So, you have to give it to the compiler. Let us give this Java program to the compiler. If you will ask me, sir, to which compiler? Not to whichever the compiler you want, rather you have to give it to Java compiler. In short, we will call Java compiler as JavaC. JavaC means Java compiler. Many of them would call it as JAVAC also. That is not the right way of pronouncing it. JavaC. JavaC means Java compiler. So, this high level language statements, if you will give it to Java compiler, unlike any other compiler, your Java compiler will not produce the machine level language code. This is the first peculiarity of your Java programming language, rather your Java compiler. You are giving high level language to compiler. What any other compilers before Java did? All converted the high level language statements to something called as machine level language. But your Java compiler will take all the high level language statements as input and produce us something called as byte codes as output, and it will keep it in one file. I repeat, it will take all the high level language statements which is written in Java and will produce something called as byte codes, and will keep it in one file. That file name will be same as the source file, but the extension would be dot class. It is a class file, it seems. Class file, something called as class file would be generated by your Java compiler. Sir, nothing we have understood, sir. Nothing. What is this byte codes? Why it is called as dot class file? What is this byte codes? I would tell you. Why it is called as dot class file? When I will execute the first Java program, I will tell you so that you will understand it better. What is this byte codes? Is this high level language code? If you will ask me, no. It is not high level language code. Okay. Is this codes present in a machine level language? No. It is not present in machine level language also. Sir, it is not in high level, it is not in machine level. In what? In which level it is? Your byte codes will be in the intermediate level language. What is that, sir? Intermediate level language. First, understand what is high level. High level language is such a language where humans can understand. It is easy for us. What is a machine level? Machine level language is such a language where machine can understand. It is easy for machine. Now you can imagine what is intermediate level. It will neither be completely in the human understandable way, in the human understandable format, neither it will be in the machine understandable format. Somewhere in between it would be. Sir, can you show us? Certainly I would show how this byte codes would look, how this intermediate level language code would look, but not today. Today main concept is explaining you what is platform dependency and dependency. That much only I would explain. Your concentration also should be only on that part. But meanwhile in the process I am just introducing you few terminologies, few things about Java. What is the first thing? This only is the first thing. Whenever you have the high level language program written in Java, you will give it to Java compiler. Unlike other compilers, Java compiler will not produce the machine level language code or the object file. Rather, this Java compiler will produce something called as byte codes or intermediate level language code. So compilation is over. Compilation is over. Compiler has converted. Actually, it should have been converted to machine level language if it was some other compiler. But Java compiler has converted to byte codes or intermediate level language code. Okay, sir. Compilation is over. Now can we execute, sir? Linking, loading, execution should we do, sir? Linking, loading, execution you could have done if at all the contents are in machine level language. What to the intermediate level language you will link? That intermediate level language if you load, that loaded intermediate level language instructions if you give it to processor, will he understand? What machine will understand? Only zeros and ones. Is this in the zeros and ones? No, it is not in the zeros and ones. I am only telling it to you, it is not. If it was in zeros and ones, I would have told it as machine level language. If I am not telling, then you have to understand that it is not in the machine level language. So something which is not in the machine level language, you cannot link, load and execute. Oh, now what to do, sir? Compilation is over. Machine level language code we did not get. What to do, sir? Can't we execute at all? You can execute. After compiling the Java program, say supposing you want to execute, then in your machine, if you have only OS and only processor, it is not sufficient. I repeat, for compiling a Java program, if you have Java compiler, it is sufficient. But after compiling, if you are planning to execute it, if you have only OS and the processor in your computer, it is not sufficient. Rather, on the operating system, I repeat, on the operating system, you should have installed something called as JVM. To execute any Java program in your computer on the operating system, you should have installed JVM, which stands for Java's Virtual Machine. JVM stands for Java's Virtual Machine. Oh, Java's Virtual Machine. What is it, sir? What is Java's Virtual Machine? In today's class, I cannot tell you. I know most of the students would get irritated, sir. What is this in today's class? You are not telling. What is this in today's class? You are not telling. When will you tell? When the time comes, I would tell. What is platform? Did I tell you in the second lecture? No. Today did I tell you? Yes. Like that, for this also time would come. For this also time would come. But process I am explaining it to you. That one you understand first. Then we will understand what is JVM, all the complicated terminologies. In simpler terms, I am telling you, if you want to compile a Java program, you should have Java compiler. It will give you intermediate level language code. This you cannot execute. If you want to execute a Java program, then on the OS, you should have installed JVM. How to install? What is JVM? Future. Whenever you try to execute a Java program, say supposing you will try to execute, at that time one of the component in JVM is collection of so many things. One of the thing is JIT, just in time. Inside JVM you will have JIT. When you try to execute the Java program, that JIT will come into picture. Now say supposing you have compiled, you want to execute, at the time of execution, JIT which is present in JVM will come, will take all the byte codes, will convert all the byte codes into machine level language code. That is what it does. All the byte codes into machine level language code it will convert. So contents now you got in the machine level language. This machine level language code would be given to linking loader. This would be given to linking loader. What linking loader does? Of course, this also has to be linked. Don't think only in C you will have the inbuilt functions for that header files you will have. In Java also you will have some inbuilt things. Probably here in a different terminologies we will be calling it as. What is that? We will see in future. We'll see in future. But so many inbuilt things we will be using here also. So this machine level language file, whatever JIT has developed, would be linked to loaded. You will get the executable file. That executable file would be directly loaded onto the RAM like this. This is the RAM space of this machine. Here that executable image would get ready. This is that executable image. All the contents you will have here in the machine level language which is linked. Now this executable image, if you will give it to the processor for execution, same old story. Directly your processor will not execute, rather it will perform one check. If you are executing a C program, your processor will perform two checks. If you are executing Java program, your processor will perform one check. How many checks to perform? All those things would be decided by this OS. If it is executing C program, your OS will tell processor to perform two checks. If you are executing Java program, your OS will tell processor to perform one check. Your OS knows it. Now you are executing a Java program, your OS will tell processor to perform one check. If you will ask me, sir, what is that one check? You are about to execute a Java program, just check whether JVM is installed in the computer or not. That is the only requirement to execute a Java program, always. To execute a Java program, only requirement is presence of JVM. That check would be performed by the processor. As of now, tell me, in this machine, is JVM installed? Yes, installed. Check passed. If the check is passed, happily all the instructions present here would be quickly given to the processor. He would execute it and you would get the output. This is case number 3. Don't come to any conclusion. I have not concluded yet. I have started the topic. Let me conclude it. You don't come to any conclusion. I know here and there you would have some or the other doubts. Keep it with you. I am here to explain it. Don't worry. Say supposing I have one more machine. Case number 4. In this machine you have a platform. For example, platform is Windows platform. One processor also you have, probably the processor is i3 processor. In this machine, say supposing you have written one Java program like this. This is the Java program. Java program is a high level language program. Contents will be in the high level language, and any file which has the contents in the high level language, you call it as the source file. Again, same old rule, this source file you cannot give it to the processor, hence you have to give to the compiler like this. In short, Java compiler we call it as Java C, just now I have told you. If you will give this high level language instructions to Java compiler will convert all the high level language code into something called as intermediate level language code or byte code. That is what your Java compiler does. Mark this in your mind. Your Java compiler will generate byte code or intermediate level language code and will keep it in one file. That file name will be same as the class file add, but will be same as the source file, but the extension would be .class. This again, you cannot directly give it to the processor. If you want to execute this, you have to install JVM onto the OS. That is what you have to do. Inside JVM, you will have something called as JIT. If you will try to execute this, JIT will come, convert all the intermediate level language code into machine level language code. That if you will give it to linking loader, it will link, it will load. That loaded instructions if you will give it to the processor, that executable image if you will give it to the processor, one check would be performed. What is that check? Do we have JVM installed in the computer? Yes, you have installed. Check would be passed, execution would happen. But say supposing you have one more machine. This machine has one platform. If you will ask me, sir, what platform does this machine has? Unix platform along with i3 processor. Unix platform along with i3 processor, and somehow this machine and this machine have got connected with each other. Wired or wireless, that is not the problem here. These two are connected. Now what I will do is I will take this compiled file. Previously in the case 1 and 2 also, rather to be precise in case 2 also, compiled file only I have taken. Now also compiled file I would take. This is the compiled file of Java. This is that file. This compiled file, I will take it. Via this connection, whatever is established, I will bring it to this machine like this. Same file, whatever I have here, add.class. Same file I will bring it. Literally same contents you will have in the intermediate level language. Same contents only you will have here, byte codes. Now say supposing you want to execute this here, either here or here. If you want to execute a Java program, only one thing is must in the machine, which is the presence of JVM. As of now, do you have the JVM? No. Say supposing you install it. You have installed JVM onto this computer like this. Inside JVM, what will you have? JIT. What is JIT? I would tell you. Today only I would tell you, don't worry. But you will have JIT. When you plan to execute this Java program, JIT will come into picture. This JIT will convert all the intermediate level language code into something called as machine level language code like this. So all this intermediate level language code would be converted to machine level language code. This machine level language code, if it is given to linking loader, this machine level language code, if it is given to linking loader, he would perform linking job and he would load the executable image onto the RAM part of the computer. Here you will get the executable image like this. Executable image. Executable image will have that machine level language code linked with all the necessary files, which has become complete. This complete executable image instructions, if you will try to give it to the processor, again I would repeat, never ever think processor directly will execute off. Your OS will tell the processor, perform that one check, because you are about to execute a Java program. Perform that one check. What is a check? Do we have JVM installed in the computer? Do we have JVM installed in the computer? Yes, check is passed. If check is passed, certainly this fellow will execute the contents and he would give the output. I don't know whether you are noticing some important thing here or not. In the flow you would have missed. I have compiled Java program here. You correctly tell me, under what platform I have compiled? Just look at this machine and tell me, compilation done here. Under what platform I have compiled? Under Windows i3 I have compiled. Same thing I have transported. Same thing I have transported. Under executed here, under what platform? Unix i3. Here it is Windows i3, here it is Unix i3. But even then, you got the output. Don't ask me, sir, why not the Java compiler kept the OS information or the platform information here? Well, that is how your Java compiler is designed. Keeping it in the dot class file would have become a disadvantage. Am I not correct? It would have become like a C program. That is the differentiating factor here. Your Java compiler, this software is not coded like the C compiler by James Gosling. James Gosling was really intelligent enough to write the Java compiler in a different way. How differently has written, you see? First of all, it is not producing the machine level language. It is producing something called as intermediate level language. Secondly, that really problem producing platform information was not added to the compiled file. Never it was added. And that is why that compiled file, if you have transported to one more machine with a different platform, execution was possible. And remember, at the time of execution only, see, compilation done, that compiled file I have bought here. Now I thought of executing it. At the time of execution only, your intermediate level language code will get converted to machine level language code by using just in time. Just in time is a software which converts intermediate level language code to machine level language code. And see the name how they have given. Just in time, it seems. Just in time. Why the name is given as just in time? Just in time of execution. Look at it. Just in time of execution, intermediate level language code would be converted to machine level language code. That work would be done by one software. What better name can be given apart from just in time? JIT. Because it is coming into picture just in time of execution. That is why that software name only they have kept it off just in time. So just in time of execution, converting intermediate level language code to machine level language code, linking, loading, executing, work is over. And if you see, your Java programming language is nowhere expecting the platform to be same at the time of compilation and at the time of execution. Is it expecting? Certainly not. The only expectation that is required, or that the Java programming, that the Java is expecting to execute a Java program, is the presence of JVM. If you want to execute a Java program, nothing else you require. If you have JVM, execution done. I hope I am completely clear why Java programming language is called platform independent programming language, because it is not expecting the platform to be same at the time of compilation and at the time of execution. Similar to Java, any programming language in this world any programming language in this world, if it is not expecting the platform to be same at the time of compilation and at the time of execution, is technically termed as platform independent programming language. Java is one such, C# is one such, many platform independent programming languages you have. And any platform independent programming language is actually transportable. See, this compiled Java code I have transported to a new machine with a different platform, and I am successful in executing it. That is the point. You can transport. C also we have transported, but did we actually get succeeded in execution? No. But Java program, you see, even though I have transported it to a new machine with a different platform, execution happened. And that is the reason people tell any platform independent programming language is actually portable or transportable to one more machine, to a new platform altogether. Now I hope I am completely clear with three things that you have written in your heading. What is platform? What is platform dependency? What is platform independency? To summarize the things, platform is a combination of two things, the OS and the processor. What is platform dependent programming languages, if you will ask me? Any programming language that expects the platform to be same at the time of compilation and at the time of execution are called as platform dependent programming languages like C and C++, popular one. What is platform independent programming languages? Any programming language that do not expect the platform to be same at the time of compilation and at the time of execution is called as platform independent programming languages like Java. I hope I am completely clear with how a Java program would get executed and why Java is called a platform independent or portable programming language. Any doubts until here? I know you will have, sir, what is JVM is not clear. What JIT does we understood, what is JVM is not clear. What is this bytecode, how it looks is not clear, sir. That is what I am telling you again and again. For everything time has to come. JVM actually learnt in a separate lecture altogether, like how we are learning platform as a separate lecture, including the bytecodes and intermediate level language code, why it is called as dot class file, why the name is dot class. Many things about this I have to speak in a separate lecture. But the process of execution of a Java program, why it is called as platform independent programming language and why it is called as portable programming language, I hope is completely clear. Copy this, you will get the notes as well, copy the notes also. For this session, I would be stopping it here. I will meet you in the next session. Until then, goodbye.
Mm-hmm.